what traits do you consistently see in inventors who actually make it all the way to licensing and to successful launches? What traits do they have?
Yeah, so good question. So one is it's either their second or third invention because they're working by themselves, or they've taken on a team of knowledgeable people to move their product forward. So they can have different traits, and everyone can specialize in a different thing because nothing great is really done on your own. You cannot do anything great by yourself. And especially an invention that takes so many pieces of a puzzle. So a lot of traits are open, they put a team together, or it's their second or third invention that they've learned a lot of missteps.
Welcome to the Ingleside Reviews Innovators Unveiled. We're thrilled to take you on a monthly journey into the minds behind the most cutting-edge products hitting the market today. From the coolest gadgets lighting up your Instagram feeds to groundbreaking services revolutionizing our daily lives, we're here to spotlight the innovations and, more importantly, the innovators. So gear up for an energetic and informative ride as we delve deep into the stories, the challenges, and the triumphs of the creative geniuses shaping our future. This is Ingleside Reviews Innovators Unveiled. And now your host, A.D. Edwards.
In a world where brilliant ideas are born every day and most never make it to the drawing board, one man has made it his mission to bridge the gap between inspiration and impact. He's guided inventors from kitchen tables to store shelves, from spark to spotlight, proving that the right strategy can turn a napkin sketch into the next household name. And if you're ready to unlock insider secrets from the people shaping the future of innovation, then you're in the right place. This is Ingleside Reviews Innovators Unveiled, where bold ideas meet real world results. So hit follow on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe on YouTube. And get ready because today we're going behind the curtain with the president of the United Inventors Association, inventor, entrepreneur, and innovation advocate, Carmine Denisco. Carmine, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Love it. Love being here. I love that intro, man. I was like, wow, this show is super organized. I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Oh, you're ready. You're ready. You've been doing some things. I've researched you. Very good stuff, and you've been around making an impact. And we're going to talk about this today. We're going to talk about the United Inventors Association. We're going to talk about how an individual can bring a product to market. And we're going to talk about some of the things that you've done. But before we get into all of that, just tell everyone, how did you get started at the beginning? Where did you grow up? And what experiences did you have that shape how you view inventions and innovations in entrepreneurship today?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I'm old. So, back in the day, no internet, no, we had 8 channels on our television. So, we didn't spend a lot of time in the house back then. So,
Right.
I was always one of these kids that loved taking things apart, seeing how they work. I very seldom could get them back together, but I loved
Okay.
taking them apart, and I got into early on in the years working on cars and motorcycles and seeing how they worked and things in that sense. And then I never worked for him. I've always been an entrepreneur. I started off working on cars and fixing them for people, and then got into owning my own service stations and things like that. Then I got into computers, which was the next, it was an invention to me. Computers were, an unbelievable outlet. You could do anything, and again, taking things apart, learning things. So I've always been a person who liked to fix things with my hands and work and use my brain. So that's kind of how I got into slowly got into the invention world. I really liked making things that people needed and used and could really give value to them.
So you started out as a kid taking things apart. When did you get the spark of inventing things? How, at what age was that?
Yeah, that was probably, I want to say, in my mid 20s. I used to be really into, and people are going to think, it's a toy. I was really into remote control airplanes, if that makes sense. But we're
Okay.
talking about the ones that are big and,
Right.
cost a few dollars. So, um, we were always out on the field, and I invented a product because you'd be out with your airplane on the field, and the motor would stall. You'd be all ready to take off and the motor would stall or something. And you had to bring all this equipment out there to try to start it, a battery and a starter, electronic lights and devices. So I said there's got to be a better way. And I invented a wind up starting device that all you had to do was walk out with that to start the airplane. I thought,
Okay.
man, this is huge. I'm gonna sell tens of thousands of these, millions of these, and that's kind of where it was. It took me a while to prototype it and get it working, different parts. Luckily, I had my own shop and I was able to do those things. No 3D printers yet, obviously, uh, and
Uh-huh.
uh, and it didn't end well for me because I took it to a machine shop that just happened to also be into the remote control airplanes and cars and things business, not business, but they like that stuff also. And they ended up stealing my idea, and it never took
Really?
off. Yeah.
So, did you have like a mentor or a pivotal moment early on in your journey that set you on this path for good?
I didn't. And well, in school I did. I had professors and people that helped me. Um, but that's one thing that I must tell you that was a void for me. And I made a lot of missteps by not having that mentorship and not asking for help. Even when I was in school, and I could have. I don't want to say that those people weren't there to help me, but I didn't do it. And I stress to anyone who's listening, or whatever, to ask and get help. Find a mentor, find somebody that can help you, because I wouldn't have made as many missteps. I learned a lot from my missteps. I don't like to say mistakes, but having a mentor is very important. I'm glad you brought that up. I did not.
Well, mentors can you can learn from their mistakes,
Yes.
and that's the advantage. And they will help you avoid making your own because they've already made them.
Right.
But now we're talking. We talked a little bit about your background, but now you're on this path. We see what happened with the first invention, but can you walk us through the moment when you decided to fully commit to this world of invention and product development?
Yeah. I was hired to do. I was a consultant. I had sold my business in New York, and I moved to Florida. And I said, what am I going to do here? I was very lucky. I sold my business for a few dollars, and moved to Florida, and I was bored. And I said, what am I going to do here? So I ended up going to a conference about videography. Now this was before, YouTube and
Okay.
Google, and all those things. And I said, I thought video was going to be big. And I went to this conference on videography and videos, and how to create videos for the internet. The only thing that was out there was AOL. I ended up running into um, Bob Circosta. Now, you might not, people listening might not know who this is, but he is the man who started the home shopping revolution. He's the guy that sold the first can opener on the radio that started HSN.
Really?
He was the man. Like, he got some can openers, and he tells this story. They sold them on the radio in Clearwater, Florida, and they sold out of 20 you know, uh, can openers, lime green. This is the
Wow.
early 80s, if you know the color, and they said, we got something here. So I ended up running into him, and we started talking, and we ended up traveling the country looking for products,
Really?
for HSN. And that's kind of
Okay.
where I got the bug.
So that's when you like, I'm committed to this. This is what okay. So what were some of the biggest challenges you faced in the early years of bringing products to life?
You know, there's a couple things that are a challenge. One is, it's very a lot of us as inventors, we're not educated in the process or sequence of inventing. We we have this idea and we're going to make it. But there's a certain sequence to that. And if you don't follow those sequences, you end up wasting or not using your resources at the right time, at the right place. That was a very big challenge, not only for myself, but for a lot of the inventors and product developers that I would walk into or I would try to help. There's a big thing, and it's just not about money. It's about resources. You're spending your time in the garage working on your stuff, and your wife's mad or your husband's mad because you're not there, and you're talking to your friends and trying to get us a favor. That's a resource, and you wasn't done at the right time, or you spend all your money on a patent, and you don't need it yet. So there's a lot of things that the education side of inventing was really an issue that I saw that was a problem for inventors. And the other thing that we all face was funding. Inventors, we don't have the funding to move quickly at the right time in the right place.
So when you were starting off and you're on this new path and you made these missteps, not mistakes, you made these missteps, what lesson did those early wins and losses or setbacks teach you that you still apply today?
Yeah. So there's several. One is I try to take the emotion out of my ideas. I develop
Explain that. Because when you come up with something, it's hard not to be emotionally excited about it.
100%.
You think you got the best idea ever. So how do you take the emotion out?
Yeah, so you have to have a certain checklist or a sequence. So you get this idea and you say, I'm going to get this idea and it's got to do these 5 things. Does it do it? And it does 2 of them. And
Okay.
you're like, well, that should be good enough. It's not. You have to have some way to test your ideas to the market. You need to know who your market is. You need to have a laser focus on who your customer is. You can't be everyone, because if you try to talk to everyone, no one listens. So there's a lot
Right.
of things that you need to learn as you learn, that you teach yourself. But if you consistently make those missteps, then it's very hard to be successful. So you learn from those. You try to take the emotion out. And if you can't take the emotion out, it's okay. We're emotional people. Bring someone in that can make those decisions for you and try to help you.
So I want you to tell us about Earmark. Tell us, what point did Earmark Sourcing come into the picture, and how did that change the trajectory, or the trajectory rather, of your work from then on?
Yeah. So Earmark came along where, while I was looking at products to put on HSN and QVC and different places and maybe taking to retail, which we did that also, I ran into, say, 99% of the ideas, or I don't want to say 90, 80% of the ideas weren't even ready for us to evaluate. But people had a prototype and they said they came to show us. And I said, you're not ready for HSN or retail. You have a prototype. Or they didn't even have that. They had a drawing. Because again, they were so emotionally thought that this is the greatest idea ever. All I got to do is show it to someone and they're going to love it. So what I found was the ideas that we were looking at that might be ready, only 1 or 2% of those were going to make it onto HSN or make it to retail. Now, they could sell directly to customers, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to help that 80% of people who weren't ready. I wanted to get them ready for retail or HSN or home shopping. And that's where the trajectory really changed, because I wasn't dealing with 10% of the inventor population. Now I was dealing with 80% of the inventor population, where 40 to 50% of those products were able to move forward and manufacture and sell. So it really exponentially grew my business.
What was the reaction of some of the individuals when you would explain to them that the product was not ready?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. It's a good question. A lot of times people, again, they're very emotional. And each inventor or product developer we would talk to differently. Um, Sometimes it would be a nominal they weren't ready. Hey, listen, this is going to cost 10 or 20 or maybe $100,000 to move forward. And they would decide on their own, it's not ready. And some people that did have those funds, and we would say, listen, if we move forward with this, we have to flip it upside down. We have to turn it blue. You want it to be yellow, but it's got to be blue. And they would say, I don't want to do that. I want it to be how I want. So each process or each product we approach differently and a different aspect.
Hmm.
I think that almost every product actually can have legs, but it has to be done in the correct way, in the correct sequence, and go after the correct market. And us as inventors, we have to be able to accept that. And if we can't, it's okay, but it will hinder your progress.
So a lot of people, especially I would say a lot of aspiring inventors, they may underestimate how complex the invention journey can be. But from your perspective, you've been in the business so long, you've seen so many things come and go. What would you say are the most common mistakes first time inventors make?
Yeah, and we all do that. It's a great question. So, one of the most common mistakes is to ask someone who hasn't done what you need done for advice. Now, I'm on the US Intellectual Property Association board. So I work with intellectual property attorneys, I work with USPTO directly, and I could directly tell you that if you ask a patent attorney what you should do, he is going to say, get a patent. But it's not the first step in inventing. It's not. So that's one of the biggest mistakes. If you ask your neighbor, hey, I got this idea, what should I do? The neighbor's going to say, get a patent, because he really doesn't know.
But when that's probably because they are fearful that someone will take their idea.
Correct. That's 100% right. But again, lack of education creates fear. So that's why educating yourself on the invention process is so important before you move forward. Moving forward in the right sequence will stop you from building up that fear.
So those are some of the mistakes that's the most common mistake. But conversely, what traits do you consistently see in inventors who actually make it all the way to licensing and to successful launches? What traits do they have?
Yeah, so good question. So one is it's either their second or third invention because they're working by themselves, or they've taken on a team of knowledgeable people to move their product forward. So they can have different traits, and everyone can specialize in a different thing because nothing great is really done on your own. You cannot do anything great by yourself, and especially an invention that takes so many pieces of a puzzle. So a lot of traits are open; they put a team together, or it's their second or third invention that they've learned a lot of missteps.
So at what stage, or does it vary according to the product? What stage does one go get a patent?
So there's a couple reasons. So there's a couple things. Depending on the product, one is your product may not. I know very successful products. I deal with about 40 Shark Tank companies and hundreds of other companies, and I have very successful products that don't have a patent because their versions are changing so rapidly. There's a reason why clothing is not patented. It's because they go
Okay.
out of style so quickly. So you have to really look at your product. You have to decide why you're going to get that patent and what type of patent you need. Now, you may need just a design patent because this is my design, but I'm going to change it very frequently. But the design's going to remain the same. The internals will change. So when you go to get a patent, you don't just get a patent to get one. You have to really look at it and think, why do I mean, I have patented a product, a provisional patent, the night before a product has gone on HSN because
Really?
I didn't need it yet. So you really
Okay.
have to decipher when, what type, and why you need a patent before you get it.
So Carmine, you talked about HSN. I'm wondering within the last 10 to 15 years with e-commerce and crowdfunding platforms, how has the inventors landscape changed?
It has changed dramatically.
In what
HSN,
ways?
HSN and home shopping has been decimated by online shopping and Amazon and TikTok shop and Instagram shopping. It has been leveled. So a lot of those companies are moving, as you know, online. So the landscape has changed dramatically for a good thing if you kept up with it. Somebody like
Okay.
me, I'm old. I don't even know how to spell TikTok. I get somebody to do that stuff for me. But
Right.
again, that's where that team comes in. You do what you know how to do. Bring in somebody that knows how they're doing it and what to do, but you can't leave it behind. There's some platforms that you absolutely have to be on if you want to sell DTC or direct to customer.
So if you got someone out here that's watching or listening, and they may feel, oh, I had an idea, but it's no longer worth going through the stages. What I want to know is, does what role does timing play in whether or not an invention succeeds or fails?
You know, I love this. I love these questions. This is awesome. Uh, so time could play a large role. A lot of some inventions are ahead of their time, and you can create a product, and people are going, "What the heck do I need that for?" Maybe the time hasn't caught up yet. But a lot of inventors want to be first to market so they can say, "I thought of that." But it's very expensive to be first because
Why is that?
you won't have somebody to follow to see what mistakes or missteps they have made. But if you're second or third, you get to see the reviews. You get to see what they did. Oh, they painted that blue. Everyone wanted an orange one. I'm going to make mine orange. So there's a lot of ways that if you take your ego out of that process, you could be very successful. But also time plays into, I can almost guarantee that someone's working on an idea that is very close to yours, even though you think you're the only one working on it. The world is very big. And I guarantee you that someone is thinking about the product too. And that's where you have heard people say, "That's my idea. I thought of that."
Yes.
And you never move
Yes.
forward. So time plays in multiple different values for different products.
Carmine, how often does something like what you just mentioned happen, in a sense that there's one invention, but someone else is working on something similar and they may have something just different on a part of that invention that's just a smidget, if I just made up that word, a smidget difference in the invention, and they both go to market. How often does that happen?
Happens all the time. And listen, if we didn't have patents, so if you really think about it, and my patent attorney friends are going to kill me, a patent attorney gets around patents. That's what he does. So they look at a patent and they go, "Yours is round, ours will be square. Patent it. Done."
Right.
If we didn't have innovation, we'd only have one bicycle. We'd only have one car. We'd only have one product that you like. We'd only have one phone. So all of these products do the same thing. They just do it a little differently. I mean,
Right.
look around. That's what's so great about competition. Because if we couldn't get around patents, if we couldn't make another product, I could just charge whatever I want because you can't
Mm,
get another one.
right. Let's talk a little bit about the United Inventors Association. For our listeners who may not be familiar, what is the mission of the United Inventors Association?
Yeah, so the United Inventors Association, we've been around since 1989. We're the largest inventor organization that no one knows about. Only inventors know about it in a sense. We have over 150,000 members around the world, mostly here in the U.S. And our real mission is to help inventors with their ideas, with connections, and to help them move their products forward. It's what we do. It's our core values, and we feel 10, 20 emails a day with inventors asking us questions and help. And we travel around the country to events and different shows. We put on education. Our biggest thing with the UIA is education. That's really what we do. We want to educate our inventors, and then we can also help them with ideas and products, and we can connect them with vetted service providers if they need help moving their ideas.
Right. Like a not necessarily a mentoring organization, but advice bank. You
Sure.
get there, get direction.
Correct.
Carmine, I got a question for you, and I don't want to be controversial, but I don't know what your stance is. But I guarantee almost that you have seen these commercials that come on in the evenings, and they say, "Got an idea? Got an invention? Call us." Is that a safe route, in your opinion, to go if you have this great idea? I'm
Change the
getting
channel.
controversial on.
Run
You
as
said
fast
chase the.
as you can. As fast as you can. So a lot of times and we get questions or we get asked for help because of a lot of these what we call invention submission companies. Now, an invention
Yes.
submission company is somebody who says, send us your idea. We'll tell you how great it is. We'll look for somebody to license your idea. And you only have to pay us 10, 20, 30, $60,000 and we'll develop your product or we'll get you a patent or listen, a patent costs $2,000. You don't need to spend $30,000 or they're very, very tough to work with. I would say if you are planning to do something like that, can contact us at the United Inventors Association first, because I could guarantee we will get you some people that have bad experiences with those companies, and it'll be very costly, and they'll hang your product up forever because a lot of times they you have to sign your product basically over to them, and
Uh-huh.
they end up owning your idea.
They own your idea. So what moved you or inspired you to take on a leadership role with the United Inventors Association?
I don't know what I was thinking. I got to tell you. No, I've been and a lot of people say you're not lucky. I've been very lucky in my career. Um, I love making products. I love helping people. And when I was on the board of the United Inventors Association for a few years, and our president did a great job. He was awesome. He wanted to move on and do a few things, and he asked me if I would jump in. And that's kind of what it was. It was like I'm doing what I was doing, and now in a larger role, we have some great people on our board. Our 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 administrative people are awesome. The shows we put on, uh, and I tell you what, it's a lot of fun working in this industry. It really is.
Now, I don't know as to what liberties you can go into detail about certain things, but I'm wondering what because inventions often make society living easier, more um, convenient. What joys or what experiences that you've had see go from idea to market that you believe was like one of the things that make life more convenient for individuals that you personally saw happen?
Yeah, yeah. We here at Earmark, we have created some medical devices. We have created some devices for people who have had their bladders removed or they have a knee brace, and it's pretty amazing when you see those products in use. I remember that we had done a knee brace for a client. We did the design work, we made it, and it actually worked really well. The design. And one time I saw somebody in an airport using this knee brace, and I said, "Look at this,"
Wow.
and I couldn't stop myself from like going up and
That's a
like accosting this person, asking them about it and how they liked it,
that's
and
that's
it's
got
one
to
of
be an
those things.
awesome feeling.
Yeah, it just stuck in my head that wow, seeing the product out in the market and use and someone helping their life better, and that's a minor item, but it's just cool to see the product in use
Yes.
and that. Hey, listen, don't get me wrong, I love making money, I do, but I love providing value for what I do and what I deliver, and to see those things, it's just an amazing feeling.
It's got to be an awesome feeling. And that brings me to my next question. I've interviewed plenty of entrepreneurs. I've read plenty of autobiography of those who started companies, and they stress the importance of trying to provide a service rather than trying to make money. Do you think that the successful inventor has to have the same mindset?
I think that everyone should have that mindset, even an inventor. Um, you know, the delivery and what that product is going to do is much more important than the product itself. People buy for an emotion of what that product is going to provide, not so much for the product. So I think that you're right on. It's hard to look at that. It's so great that you brought that up.
Be-
It's hard to see
Because
past that.
yeah, so many people they think about the money, the money, money, money. But from what I've been told, if that's your sole purpose, you may not get too far.
It won't be a long-term type of thing.
Yes.
People this day are not only super smart, but things follow us. I mean, with the internet and AI and things like that, it just right now you do right, you do good.
Yes. What are some of the most inspiring? I guess I guess you answered this question for me. I was wondering, one of my questions is, what are the most inspiring invention success stories that you've witnessed? But you've already told us about that. And I think about products for convenience, but you made a good point, Carmine. Some products are necessities,
Yeah.
especially medical products.
Yeah, they're necessities. I mean, we're working on a really cool product right now that's going to free people up from the claustrophy bags and give them their lives back. And to be able to work on something like that, it's not just an idea. Now you're giving somebody a lifestyle. You're giving somebody who can sleep at night. And me, I don't know the problems they face. All I can say is, wow, I don't really. I mean, do I understand it? But but being able to create these products it's a gift. It's a gift for me.
Yes. Yes. So when it comes to United Inventors Association, how does UIA support inventors at different stages? For example, the idea stage to the manufacturing stage to the distribution stage. Do you guys help with all of that or just certain aspects?
No, 100%. If someone has a question or they need some connection or some way to help them move forward, we can move them through any of the stages of from ideation all the way to store shelves. And then in between also, logistics and shipping and delivery, fulfillment. There's a lot that us inventors don't think about because we just want to invent something. But there's a lot to it as you start really digging in and peeling that onion back. You're like, wow,
Yes.
and that's what the UIA does. We not only have again top people on our board who are willing to help, but we have groups, specialized groups in the toy industry, in the camping industry, in different product industries, so we can actually bolt on. I mean, we're talking about like a vice president of Mattel will talk to you.
Hmm.
I mean, come on, you know. So
And that's excellent
it's
advice from
priceless,
someone like
and
that.
and
Yeah.
and I applaud these people that have come together to help these inventors and product developers. It's just amazing to me the people that we can reach out and touch.
Excellent. UIA is an excellent resource. Let's talk a little bit about intellectual property, licensing, and real world navigation. You touched on it a bit, but intellectual property can be really intimidating to a lot of creators, right? What's your best advice for inventors navigating patents and trademarks for the first time?
Yeah, so don't assume anything. Patents and trademarks. One, you don't really need a trademark until you start selling your product. You'll have to, in order to get a trademark awarded, you will have to show sales, or you will have to sign a intent to sell document to get your trademark. So hold off on any trademark. Don't listen to anybody who's going to sell you a trademark right at the beginning. One is people want to be famous, but no one knows you until you sell something. No reason for the trademarks yet. But the patents are a very tricky item because I'm not a patent attorney, but I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and a lot of times people will want to get worldwide patents, and I'll say
Hmm.
why? You're not going to go to Madagascar and take somebody to court because they're selling two of your products. It just won't be worth it.
Right.
So you really, again, as we go to it, you have to look at that patent as why, when, where. The U.S.
Hmm.
is the market. Everyone in the world wants to sell products in the U.S. If you
Okay.
want to get a patent here, and there's a reason to get a patent here, that's great. Because if somebody wants to copy you and sell some in Germany, let them. You know, People think I'm crazy. They're like, "What are you crazy?" But also you have to know that here in the U.S., um, having a patent is only the first step. The USPTO, the Patent and Trademark Office, is not the patent police. So having that patent on your wall is good, but if somebody copies your product, you have to pay to stop them. And
Right.
it's a very expensive process. So again, you have to really decide, is this patent going to be a good idea? Or if somebody copies me, what am I going to do about it? Because you could start off at
Right.
$100,000, $200,000 just to get started.
Yep. I know from going abroad, you'll see in other countries blatant disregard for trademarks and patent. I was in Mexico. I saw one store was called Apple. It was Apple. They had the Apple logo, and I believe it was the team. It was something. It was funny. My wife and I had a big laugh at that.
Yeah.
And you'll see even they'll take the pictures of certain celebrities and act as if they're endorsing certain products, and it's not the case. So you can't fight every battle, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So here's a question about that. What are some smart strategies for approaching licensing deals, and what are the biggest red flags to watch out for?
So licensing is a whole different animal. Um,
Okay.
it used to be years ago that you could draw a picture of a product and show it to a company that is looking for products, and they would license it from you. I know in the early 2000s, people that were getting licensing deals with just an idea or a prototype, but things have really changed. Um, and companies, because they have access to so many products now, and they could see Amazon and all of these products on eBay and all these products, they don't really need to go out looking for products anymore. So when you approach these companies, the first thing they ask is, just like they say on Shark Tank, how many have you sold? And if you haven't
All right.
sold any, you have no proof that your product is wanted in the market. Even though you think it's the greatest product in the world, the company's not going to put out millions of dollars and license your idea. They're just not going to. They used to. And people are living off of the books and things that explain this from a long time ago. So licensing is almost as much as taking a product to market as actually manufacturing your product. You almost have to manufacture a small quantity, sell those products, prove the want in the market by saying, "Hey, we made 1,000 of these. They sold out in a month." Boom.
Okay.
Okay. But if you just go in the idea and say, "Hey, everyone loves my idea. My grandmother loves it," they're not going to license your product. Now, if they do, they're, one, not going to do anything with it, or two, the deal is going to be like 0.0% of commission on the sale. So either way, you're not going to make out with that licensing. It's very, very tough to license a product these days.
Is that common, Carmine, where a company will license a product and not use it?
Yeah, it is. And I'm glad you're bringing this up. Most companies aren't like this, but there are some companies that if you have a product that maybe is like theirs, they'll license it from you, put it on the shelf, and they're taking care of the competition. They're like, "Oh," because once you sign that licensing contract for 5 years or 10 years, it's not your product anymore. So the trick is, and our listeners, if they're listening, if you're going to do that, one, have somebody look at the licensing contract. It's Don't just sign it. And two, there has to be a performance agreement in that contract where you get your product back. And what I mean by that is they have to say that they're going to sell or pay you for a certain amount of product per year or per quarter, whether they sell them or not. They have to pay you
Okay.
a certain amount. And that's a performance guarantee in a contract. And you'll see that they won't sign it if their plan is to just put it up on a shelf.
Yeah. That'll tell you everything you need to know. Now, I've asked about these companies that advertise on television, telling viewers to send their products into them, their ideas. And they aren't the only ones. You see them in magazines and other outlets as well. How can inventors protect themselves from predatory invention help? Let's just say someone listening or viewing has already entered some kind of relationship with one of these companies. How what can they do now? Because these companies, they often overpromise and underdeliver. So what's your advice to someone in this situation?
Yeah. So ask a lot of questions. Ask about products that they've recently had. Ask them about the success rates of the other products that they've taken on. Legally, they have to tell you or they have to have it posted. If they're an invention submission company, if they're labeled as that, they have to have it posted, their success rate. And somewhere it's on their website, but they usually hide it. They say it's posted,
Okay.
but very hard to find. But you can ask them what the success rate of their products are. Most submission companies, their success rate is 0.02% of people made back what they paid to get what they paid the company.
Right.
0.02%. That's not even 1%.
So you've been doing this for over 30 years. Can you share a memorable story of an invention that almost didn't make it, but it found success through perseverance?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Well, one that we all know. I mean, you guys have all heard of Scrub Daddy. So,
Yes.
so I know the Scrub Daddy owner, and the story goes, and he'll tell this story is that he walked in to a company to license 10 products, and he was pitching them. He was trying to license them. They took 9 products. The one they didn't want was the sponge,
Really?
and he said, "Okay," and he took that sponge, turned it into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Imagine being the guy that turned that sponge down. You took the other 9.
That reminds me of the Shark Tank episode of the gentleman that had what became the Ring doorbell.
There you go.
And they said, nah, no way.
Who's
And he
gonna
was,
want that?
yeah, and he stuck with it. So you got to persevere if you
Yes.
believe in your idea. So,
Yes. One more, and you know what? The gentleman with the ring camera, we've had him on stage at a, but years before. Now he's really big. He's a great guy, um, but he brought the right team around him. Very important, especially that type of product. But it's just amazing how adversity will help you reach that next
yes,
level.
everyone has a Ring doorbell
Oh
just
yeah,
about. You
they
can't
do.
go, it's amazing. And a lot of times when people are told certain things, they give up and they stop believing in themselves. And I'm so happy that he didn't stop because I love my Ring doorbell.
He would- it-
So let's talk about the future of innovation, Carmine. Where do you see the next major opportunities for inventors emerging over the next decade?
there's going to be a lot of still going to be inventors, still going to be products. There's going to be a lot of movement on where products should be made, how they should be made, what should be made. But the specialty type products are really finding a way in the market. You say, like, I am going to create products for pickleball. And instead
Okay.
of being, I'm going to make this product for a kitchen, I'm going to make this product for a car, you're not, leveling yourself out. You're laser focusing on specific markets. Inventors are going to be much more successful that way because they're going to get their experience, they're going to know the market, and they're going to have customers already to sell the next set of products to. And I see that happening already where people aren't diversifying as much as they did. They're starting to really compress and condense their ideas into certain markets. And I think that's going to continue.
How do you think AI, 3D printing, and rapid prototyping are changing the game for small inventors?
It's a game changer. There's no doubt
Mm-hmm.
about it. AI, obviously I'm old, so I don't know the whole AI thing, but 3D printing, rapid prototyping, if your product can utilize these technologies, use it. There's, I'm not a big proponent of prototyping. I work more of, we're going to make sample. If you're going to manufacture your product, you don't want to prototype it 20 times and pay all that money. You know,
Okay.
so you want to have a prototype, sure. You want to make sure it spins and and it does what it's supposed to do. But the factory that you work with is going to do those final touches for you to make it manufacturing ready. So I'm not a big proponent of a lot of prototypes. A lot of us inventors, we just like inventing. So we keep changing it and get another prototype, change it, get another prototype. But that costs money. So
Yeah.
depending on what you want to do as an inventor, um, you know, those technologies will really come into play. We work with a lot of colleges around the country, and their engineering departments are insane. I love going there because these kids, and I call them kids, they're making stuff that is just amazing. So yeah, it's really cool. I love it. I love technology.
What percentage would you say of inventors that have a prototype and they want to manufacture it end up going to that company that starts with an A overseas in China and manufacture it?
You
Is,
know,
is that the route that a lot of people take?
it's a route that a lot take, and it's a roll of the dice.
Okay.
We have warned people because many times it's like virtual dating. You don't really know who you're talking to, and
Yes.
it's very tough because you are taking your heart, your idea, your love, and you're handing it over to someone that you can't go there and bang their door down, or and so it's
Right.
very tough. But like
Right.
myself, our company, we have hands and feet in Asia. We have hands in China and Korea and the Philippines. So if I have a inventor brings me their idea, I'm sending it to a known person who's going to walk it into the factory that we are working with for 10 years. It's a little bit different. So yes, the company that starts today, I know, actually, I mean, I know the vice presidents. I mean, I've been on I've spoken on stage with them. So so they're supplying a service, but it's one of those
Uh-huh.
things where you as a person have to mitigate that service and use it correctly.
Understood. Now, what skills and mindset will separate the successful inventors from the rest in this new landscape that's happening now?
Yeah. Utilizing technology, social media, will separate people very quickly. And I'm one to say that I didn't keep up on Instagram and TikTok and all those things. And if I had one product and I needed to sell it, I would have to get somebody to help me with those things. Um,
Okay.
I manufacture products and I say, here it is. We have people that help our inventors and things like that. But keeping up on technology, staying with trends, very important. Building what they call a tribe or a group and being able to reach out, very, very important to stay up on technology. And if you don't, it's okay. But having people that you trust can do it. It's again important to have a team.
Yes. If you could wave a magic wand, Carmine, and fix one major pain point in the invention ecosystem, what would you change? What would you fix? Just one. Don't you laugh, it sounds like you might have a few,
Oh
but
man,
just give us one.
I would get rid of tariffs.
Okay. Okay, understood.
That's a pain point, and I have inventors that have closed their doors up because of tariffs. I think
Because of
people
the
don't
tariffs.
realize where the tariff money comes from. We don't get political about it, but
Yeah.
the tariffs come from the small businesses.
Right. So personally, when you look back at your journey, what accomplishment are you most proud of?
Wow, that's a good question. So I am most proud of helping thousands of inventors fulfill their dream of developing their products, taking their products from ideation to having that product in their hand. Thousands of them. And when I look back and somebody asks me what was their favorite product, it's hard for me to even think. Like even those products behind me, every one of those was someone's idea, and I get the ability to hand that to them and go, here it is. This is what you were dreaming about. This is what you were telling me about 6 months ago, a year ago. Here it is in your hand and seeing their faces. that is one of the greatest fulfillments I can tell you. Obviously, my family, my kids, and all that, but in business, being able to do that time and time again, undeniable.
That's awesome. Carmine, what legacy do you hope to leave for the inventor community?
I hope to leave a legacy of education, knowledge, experience. I want people to realize that, we were just a stepping stone. And if they can build those blocks and help those next inventors with the education that we provided, I think that will be an ultimate legacy. And hey, listen, if some of those inventions that come out help save people or do something that is in the health market or just save one person, that would be amazing to me.
Yes. Carmine, this was a fantastic discussion. Your insights into the invention journey, product development, and the future of innovation are exactly the kind of conversations that push our community forward. For everyone listening, if today's episode sparked new ideas, shifted your perspective, or gave you that extra push to chase your vision, don't keep it to yourself. Please follow, share, and spread this inspiration. And if you're ready to keep learning from trailblazers like Carmine Denisco, subscribe to Ingleside Reviews, Innovators Unveiled, wherever you listen to your podcast. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, and never stop unveiling the innovator in you. I'm your host, A.D. Edwards, signing off.
You've been listening to Ingleside Reviews, Innovators Unveiled. Our passion is to take you on a journey into the minds behind the most cutting-edge products hitting the market today. It's an honor to have on the show the creative geniuses shaping our future. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. Hit our website at inglesidereviews.com. On Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Ingleside Reviews. And on Twitter at Ingleside Review. See you next time.